Good day, everyone. Today we are going to discuss generation issue in workplace diversity. At the end of this chapter, the student shall be able to first know the generation issue, form three main perspectives, namely baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, with slight reference to the old generation, and then to be aware of how generations can coexist at work and how they can manage through such an interesting concept as diversity. Different strategies that companies are using in order to embrace generational differences. The direct effect of generational differences in the workplace are recruiting, team building, change implementation, motivation, and managing. So for these strategies, the company will able to sort in which this generation focus or for their capacity or for their skills and knowledge on where they fitted on what job specification and job description as well as job title they are fitted. Okay. There are also benefits of embracing a diversified workforce. First is employee retention. Next is customer satisfaction. And then stronger leadership team, acknowledgement the experience of older workers, and respect for talent and contributions of new workers. So in a company, of course, there's a possibility that if we are newly hired, and then there are there are some employees that are working for the past, for example, 5 to 10 years. And considering the generation or the age they have, now we need, of course, to respect them. Even though we have qualifications, no, we have different knowledge and skills with regards to jobs. Bear in mind that we need to show respect because they are the ones who started the business much longer than us. Okay, so there are different benefits according to the slide. Of course, the employees will feel secure. So the tendency is that they will retain or they will stay in the company. And then with that tested, the customer satisfaction, of course, a stronger leadership team. And then as we acknowledge the experience of older workers, respect for talent and contribution of new workers will also be possible. There are other factors affected by generational differences. First is maintaining and increasing productivity. Next is the perception of work ethics. And then decrease in morale and then loyalty towards employers. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So for the factor that affect or the factors that affect generational differences. Okay, first one is maintaining and increasing productivity. Okay, so as you have seen the picture, so these two men or gentlemen are the same, are working in the same company. Okay, and then of course, with the physical attributes of this older man, we know that he stays on the company for much longer than this new one, than this younger one. Okay, so the tendency is that we think that this older man is much productive because he stay longer or he stayed longer in the company than to this new or younger man. Okay, but it's not like that. It does not only base or the productivity only based on how old an employee is or how young an employee is. It depends upon the knowledge and the skills that he can share to the company for the company to be successful. So it doesn't matter if the person is much older or much younger than each other, as long as they contribute or as long as they have skills and knowledge that can be contributed for the company's success. The perception of work ethics doesn't also depend or rely on the age or the generation. So I think this will explain that even though we have different age gap or different generations, as long as we value our work, as long as we do our work in the right manner, no, regardless of our generation, this should be done. And this should not be felt the decrease in morale, even though there are younger ones that coming in into our company. So for the older ones, they should not lose their morale. They should still be confident about themselves and show what they've got in terms of their knowledge towards their work. And for the other factor that may affect the generational differences, the loyalty towards employers. So as we all know, if it's automatic that if the employee is or stayed much longer than other employee, of course, the loyalty of that older employee really has a strong impact on the owner or on the company itself. So the generation or the generational process really affects in terms of loyalty because the longer an employee stayed in a company, the more experiences he had, and then the more learnings he had as well. And then, even though the company might struggle, their ups and downs, still that employee stay on the company. So that's loyalty. So I think the generational differences affects this because if one enters the company of the or the new one enters the company, so meaning this new really doesn't compose yet the loyalty or his loyalty to the company, unlike for the older one. Okay, so here's an example on the composition or generational composition of an establishment in the US. So we have legends here. For the light blue, the code is for the Generation X. Sorry, for the Generation Z. For the millennials, it's pink. Generation X is light green. Baby boomers is yellow. And then for the greatest generation is gray. So let's start with the Generation Z, which has 26% of the working population in the company. And then for the millennials, they had 22%. Generation X, they had 20%. The baby boomers, they have 24%. And for generation, uh, they have 9%. So for the first time in American history, there are five generations working together side by side. So I think for this example, the potentials of each and every generation really matters. So if, for example, nowadays our uh, uh, we are under the modern world or the modernized era or the technological era. So, of course, the Generation Z, the generation or the millennials, this pink one, and then the baby boomers really have this a great contribution for the company. So they will help each other. They need to identify the strengths and weaknesses of each and every worker in order for them to give help and then to close the gap or to solve problems for each and every situation that they may encounter. Okay? So I think if the this example will be um, really experienced into the real world of or if a company has this composition of generations, different generations, I think this will be an asset. No? This will help them for to, like what I've said, to see the strengths and weaknesses and to create those weaknesses into opportunities for their company to be successful. Okay, let us know what are the different characteristics of this what we call the greatest generation or those employees that were born from 1920 to 1946. Okay, so they are the oldest generation in the workplace, and approximately they are 55 million and more. And then they influenced by the Great Depression and World War II, started the civil rights movement. And then civil rights movement, men typically worked while women stayed home to raise children. They are the wealthiest generation, and then children were seen, okay, but not loyal to employers and expect the same in return. And they measure work ethic on timeliness, productivity, and not drawing. So they have strong respect for authority. They are past oriented. They are able to display command and control leadership, and they are very resistant to change. Okay, so this is a challenge for an organization if they will accept this type of employee under this generation. They should accept the fact that they have these characteristics or traits. So they should know how to handle this type of employee, no, in order for them to maximize the potentials of generation. So as we can see here, they are very resistant to change. So we need to be innovative, no, as a management or as a management team. We need to be innovative on how we are going to maximize their strengths and their potentials. So where are we going to put them in the organization? Or are we going to accept them or not? Okay? For the baby boomers, they are born from 1946 to 1961. So they make up to 76 million. So this is for the American population. And they are being influenced by the Vietnam War, civil rights riots, Kennedy's, and Martin Luther King assassinations. So they created the term workaholic and expect loyalty from employers. Their work ethic is measured in hours of work. So they also grew up in a time of affluence. They are very optimistic and hardworking. They are highly competitive. They inflated view of their financial well-being. They believe rules should be obeyed unless they are contrary to what they want. Then they are to be broken, and then they are free spirited. Okay, for the baby boomers, these are the generations of our parents. No, um, they have this characteristics or they have this creation of the term workaholic. So they are very hardworking. They are also loyal to their employers. And here it says here that their work ethic is measured in hours of work. Okay, so again, the same with the greatest generation, we need also to distinguish the strengths of this type of generation or the employees under this type of generation. So as we see here, they are very loyal, they are very workaholic, so it means they are hardworking, so they can give much effort to their work, no? Give more time to their work, and so they will really a big help to the organization. Okay? They are also competitive, which is very much important in an organization, and they are also free spirited, and they abide or obey rules, no? So this is very important, no? They should know the rules, and they should obey the rules, so that the company will not experience any trouble in terms of rules and regulations. For the next generation, we have the Generation X. So they are born from 1961 to 1982. So they born during the greatest anti-child phase in modern American history. So this is for the American people. So the first generation where both parents had to work. They experienced single parent. They accept diversity. They use technology and mistrust institutions. So also for the Generation X, distrust authority and large institutions, including corporations, religious institutions, and the government. So they need for autonomy, adapting to multicultural settings, like to get things done. They redefine workplace loyalty, focus on outcomes rather than process, and then loyal to their own career goal, not on the organization. So as I observe here, no, for this generation, in compared to the previous generation, uh, the past generations, for the past generations, which are the boomers and the silent generation. So as I observe here, even though they are loyal to their job, no, they give much importance to their career goal. So they have their own belief that they want to accomplish something. If the company doesn't or does not in line with their goal, they will go out on that organization. Unlike with the baby boomers and the silent generation. So they stick to the company, whatever it is, whatever the situation is. So they abide rules, they work according to policies. But here in this generation, they redefine, no? They redefine each, for example, the loyalty, no? They redefine also the of being loyal to the organization, and they are much focused on the outcomes rather than on the process. So for me, I think this generation is much aggressive than the previous generation. So the silent generation and then the baby boomers. And also for this generation, they are also experienced to work within an organization with technology in it. Okay, so they welcome technology, they use technology, and another thing here is that they are brave enough to mistrust institutions, and they also accept diversity. Okay, for the generation Y, so these are born or generations that are born from 1982 to 2002. Okay. So 80 million, this is the largest generation, the youngest generation entering the workplace. They really celebrate diversity. They assume technology. They shaped by parental excesses, computer and technology. Okay. They feel great pressure to succeed and meet increasing demands, be the pressure from the outside or from their own ambitions. Okay. So this generation is also highly collaborative. They are very optimistic. Okay? They accustomed to having influence in decision making. They are very technology dependent. They accept automation to support their skills. They are very self-confident, or they are very confident about themselves. They are multitaskers, and they are really in need of it because they are very young, but they are very optimistic and aggressive in terms of work. Okay, so most of us belong to this type of generation in which we are born with technology in our generation. So we are open with changes, are very open with diversity. Okay, so it says here that we are celebrating diversity. Okay, and they really most of us are having this feeling of great pressure to succeed. No, we always wanted to succeed in everything that we do, and this is for me. If I will be a company owner, this will be a strength or one of my advantage with my competitors. Of course, I will hire this generation because nowadays this is what we call the now. So we need to really maximize the strengths of this generation. Especially today, we are under or within technological era or modernized technology. Okay, but of course, we need also to know how to manage this type of generation. Okay, even though they are very aggressive, they are very optimistic, have tendency to go out to the from our company for short, or they just stay in the company for a short period of time compared to the past generations or to the other generations being presented. So we need to motivate. They really need to be advised, or they really need to have mentors in order for them to value or to stay within the company even there are challenges and negativities. Okay, another generation is the Generation Z or the I generation. So this generation is born, or the people under this generation are born from 1999 onwards. So according to the US Bureau, this is a larger generation than millennial or baby boomers at 61 million. So they are raised by uh, Generation Z ex-parents in the time of the greatest economic instability since the Great Depression. So they value work and acknowledges the need to invest in their future now. And then digital natives. So they have this modernized technology as they are born, or even they are young. They experience to use gadgets, experience to see social media. They experience to process using modernized technology and other softwares. So they with images, they are poised to have on tremendous impact on the workforce. They are very futuristic or future focused. They are also realist and self-branders. 8 seconds attention span. Okay, so once the attention, the once they are out of their focus, or they do not focus on a certain thing, no, they will easily immediately shift their mood and shift their to another. So this is very critical, no. Even most especially into an organization. So they need to establish what they really want and what is the goal, what is their goal. They need to align their goal to the goal of the company. So as a management team, we need to really focus on giving them advice or giving them mentorship as like with the Y, for them to be able to stay for the company and for us to be to use their potentials eh, in order for our company and for our company to succeed. Okay? By 2020, Generation Z will comprise 20% of the American workforce, or even here in the Philippines. So this generation for now are those people or those individuals that are uh, they are finishing their educational experiences, no? Afterwards, as they graduate, they will be a great advantage, or they will become a great asset to any organization or company they will be in. So here are the significant conflicts in the workplace because of generational perspectives. First is tension and misunderstanding. And then there might be an increase in biases, errors and unresolved conflicts, as well as different perception of ethics, the use of technology, difference in leadership styles, difference in career goals. Okay. So what are the conclusions? So you need to focus on the importance of recognition of talent in each generation. So and leadership engagement are really required. Different perspectives create conflict among employees. So we need to really respect each other. Technology emphasizes differences. So everybody should be uh, flexible. Different channels of communications among generations. And then multi-generational training is not currently being implemented by companies. So companies should implement this kind of training. Awareness of diversity is acknowledged but not approached. So we are aware, but we are not talking about it or we are not doing anything about it. So the company should do ways on how to um, adjust with this generational differences. Then training resources are very limited, and the management and leaders are lack of in terms of support. Okay, so what are the primary recommendations? Professional purchase training, financial literacy training and planning, management and engagement is also required, as well as the implementation of a diversified leadership model. Okay? And then focus on employee retention, cross-training, mentorship program, knowledge, experience, and about collaboration, assessment and control, and updated action plan. So these recommendations are very essential. So an organization should consider this if they are if they have this different generation in their organization. So they really need to be serious about on how to train each and every individual under different generations, no? Especially in dealing with the technology. Okay, and also they need to focus on employee retention so that if there are problems that are from this gender differences, they are able to find ways on how to solve this because they are focused on the retention of each and every employee in their company, regardless of conflict they have in terms of generational differences. So also important, the mentorship program that focus on the knowledge, experiences, and collaboration. And of course, updated action plan and assessment and control. So you need to assess what are the problems and then take possible solutions and control the outcomes, no? Or what are you going to do in order to resolve the conflict and make this conflict or any problem that are to arise again, no? Within or similar problems to arise again. Okay, so that's for the control. Okay. So generations have different values, not wrong or right values. We cannot to ignore all the talent each generation brings to the workplace. Let's learn to celebrate the differences. A diverse workforce can drive behavior that translates into productivity and profit gains. Okay. So to address the challenge of the generational diversity, communication is very vital in order for the business to become successful. So the training is a critical element as well. And then mentoring are very essential to all employees, regardless of their generation. Okay. So that's it for today's presentation. I hope you learned something from our topic, generational diversity in the workplace. So I will be sending assignments in the Google Classroom, quizzes as well, and activities and additional learning materials that is connected to our topic for today. So I hope you are all safe. And again, please study or please have a review of the discussion for you to be able to get high score in the quizzes and for the future graded recitation that we have. Again, that's it for today. Thank you very much.